real quick before I begin, right off the bat, I just want to say that I definitely recommend checking out this movie out in theaters right now. Like, I encourage you to please to see this movie wherever you can. Not just because, you know, this movie itself is great and all, minor spoiler alert, but also in reality, it's actually not really doing as well as it should be. You know, due to the ongoing writers and actors strike, the cast cannot presently physically promote the movie in current time, and the marketing in general for this movie has been very minimal and very weak because of that. So yeah, because of that, I'm actually really worried for this movie's box office potential because it really deserves the love. So please, I do implore you to please go and check this movie out, go have a go at, you know, watching this movie, give your support for this movie however way you can, right, raising awareness of this movie, you know, anything will do. Because yeah, it is just a fun film for, you know, great film for all ages, and I hate for good films like this to, you know, not get the attention they deserve. Anyhow, back to the video. What is up, guys? My name is Ryan World Movies, and welcome back to another movie review on this channel, and this time it's going to be for the most recent film that was released a couple of days ago this August, Blue Beetle. And this is going to be my non-spoiler review for this movie because I don't want to, even though the review embargo has been lifted up already ever since the film's released, I don't want to give too many don't want to give any more spoilers right now, because if I do, then you know, more people will just know what the movie's about, and it will just discourage them from actually going to see it. So I'm doing a non-spoiler review just to encourage people more, in the spirit of trying to encourage more people to see it. And this film was directed by Angel Manuel Soto and written by Gareth Dunay Alcocer, who I'm hoping I pronounced their names correctly. I had to look back at the DC Fandom 2021 panel when they were talking about the movie Blue Beetle that they were working on at the time in development. And from my knowledge, from my understanding, that's how they pronounce the names. So I'm really hoping that I pronounced their names correctly here. If I accidentally mispronounced them, then I really do sincerely apologize. I did my best. But yes, this is the third film that DC has released this same year, and in 2023, and however way you want to call it, this is either the 14th installment of the DCEU franchise, or you could count it as the newest DC film featuring the first official character, potentially, of the upcoming rebooted DCU, which, about this, I'll get back to it at the end of this video. So Blue Beetle stars Jamie Reyes, it's pronounced Jaime instead of Jamie in Espanol, who is an ordinary young adult fresh out of college and is just returning back home to reunite with his family in Palmyra City. One day, however, out of the blue, he comes home to his family after receiving a mysterious artifact by a mysterious girl named Jenny Court of Court Industries. Suddenly, the artifact known as the Scarab bonds and attaches itself to Jaime. Now he must not only learn how to use his newfound powers with the Scarab, but also work together with his family to stop Court Industries themselves, led by its narcissistic leader, Victoria Court, from getting their hands on the Scarab. So right off the bat, fairly quickly on, I was hella excited and hella intrigued when this movie was first announced. You know, a movie about the character Blue Beetle, and on top of that, Jaime Reyes, who is actually the third character to take on the mantle of Blue Beetle in the comics. And, you know, I've been a fan of the character since, you know, seeing him first, actually encountering him in the Justice League vs. Teen Titans DC animated film. And there's also Young Justice, which is one of DC's most famous and most well-known cartoons even to this day, which Season 2 pretty much dedicated an entire storyline and story arc dedicated to this character of the Blue Beetle. And yeah, since watching those, he's become one of the most unique and interesting characters that I've ever encountered in any, you know, comic book superhero media. And above all, not only is this the first film ever to feature a Mexican-led superhero, but also the first a superhero film to feature a Latino lead. Some more details were given at the DC Fandom 2021 online convention event, where director Angel Manuel Soto and writer Gareth Dunay Alcocer were present, and also present there was Xolo Maridueña himself, who plays Jaime Reyes and Blue Beetle. And up until that point, I had no idea who he was until I found out more about Cobra Kai, which is what he was and still is best known for. And, you know, ever since watching Cobra Kai, I've just been a fan of his ever since. And of course, also a huge fan of Cobra Kai, you know, still stands as one of my most favorite things to watch on Netflix. But since we're on the topic of Xolo, let's actually dive right into the review and start by talking about him, of course, which this is actually his big screen debut. So this is his very first movie ever to, you know, debut in. And for this, I find that he was just absolutely fantastic in the movie. You know, Angel Manuel Soto, the director, was right. He truly does bring out the heart and soul of the character. Like, he is Jaime Reyes, like, perfectly casted. I cannot see anybody else cast as Jaime, you know, in live action. Well, I mean, minus Jake T. Austin, who he actually voiced the character in the DC animated film universe. But yeah, Xolo absolutely killed it. And I'm just so happy that this is his very first movie, and, you know, on top of all that, it's a superhero film for one of the biggest franchises of all time, DC, that features him as potentially the very first official character of the upcoming rebooted DCEU. So you could technically say that Xolo Maridueña officially starts the DCU going down the line, which that's a massive start to, you know, a big screen career. It's certainly gonna boost him up. You know, what a way to, you know, boost up and start up your career, am I right? But yeah, speaking of the Blue Beetle character, we have to talk about the costume and suit, man. Like I said in my Blue Beetle trailer reaction video from like months ago, I cannot believe that this suit looks this good. I love how practical the suit looks, and I appreciate how it doesn't have to rely so much on CGI in order to make it look this good and this practical and like stand out so well in the real world. You know, it's one of the best DC suits that I've seen in live action. It's very comic accurate, and the same goes for this, like, the secondary villain of this film, Carapax's suit as well, which I love his design, which I'll get back to Carapax in a bit. Which suffice to say that the special VFX in this movie were also really good and top-notch. Like, compared to most, if not all, of the previous superhero material and stuff and content that we've been getting these last few years, specifically with Marvel, you know, the CGI here really stands out really well. And that helped to make the action sequences in this movie also really good. You know, combining it with the CGI, it was very well choreographed in my opinion. And I also really like the direction of this movie. You know, Angel Manuel Soto and Gareth Dunay Alcocer, they clearly had a vision, and everything they said in their DC Fandom 2021 panel that time, everything they said, it's literally displayed on the screen. You literally will see it on the screen here, and I'm just really so glad that they got to live out their vision for this movie. Another standout for this movie was Bruna Marquezine. I'm hoping that I pronounced her name correctly. From my understanding, that's how you pronounce her name, but again, if I accidentally mispronounced it, I sincerely apologize. But yeah, she stars in the movie as Jenny Cord, and it's the first movie of hers I've ever seen. Like with Xolo, I had no idea who she was until this movie, and yeah, in my opinion, she also killed it. You know, she had a lot of depth to her character, especially, you know, with the backstory behind her and the character arc that she goes through in the film. In fact, pretty much most of the characters had a lot of depth and emotion behind them, not only with the Reyes family, but even with the secondary villain, Carapax, played by Raul Max Trujillo, who I'm hoping I'm pronouncing his name correctly as well. Again, if I mispronounce it, my sincerest apologies. But yeah, even he had an emotional backstory behind him that was revealed in the climax of the movie. But what I really like about this movie, and I think it's what makes this movie so special, is the central idea: family.
It's all about family!
Yeah, this movie really emphasizes the importance of family, and it's really the family themselves that elevate and directly is the source of the hero's true strength. And this is one of the only, if not the only, superhero film where the family directly and immediately right off the bat knows the hero's secret identity. And I really like what they did with how, you know, Jaime being the Blue Beetle affects his personal life with his family, because unlike with Spider-Man, where he has to hide his secret identity from everyone, every single member of his family knows his secret identity right off the bat. And it really delves down into what being a superhero means, especially for within a Latino family setting. And so I thought that part was really executed well and really helped to elevate, you know, this movie being central in its idea of family. And yeah, speaking of this Latino family, it's suffice to say that the representation of Latino culture is really strong with this movie. You know, I thought it was also really well represented and very accurate according to many online comments that I'm seeing from people who are actually of Latino or even Latino American themselves. And yeah, it just from the family dynamics and relationships, and it even delved into like the social status of the Latino community as well, and their community life as well. And yeah, all the representation is there, and I thought that was represented really well. And I know this is more of an MCU related comment nowadays, but yeah, even for this one, unlike most DC films that we've gotten previously, this takes it to another level. This is like unlike any other most of the DC films that we've seen previously. Like in my personal opinion, I find this better than Shazam 2 and even The Flash that we got earlier this year, and as well as Black Adam, which was the film that came before Shazam 2 and The Flash. And yeah, this Blue Beetle is much more better than the past 3 DC films that we've gotten. That's just my opinion. But in terms of the mixed bag stuff I've had about this movie, is that for me personally, starting off, it got me thinking that this was just gonna be one of those generic, cliche, but still lighthearted and fun superhero films going the basic plot route of a typical superhero film. And overall, looking at the big picture, to be honest, I find it kind of still is a bit. You know, an ordinary person or nobody is looking to find a place in the world, randomly ends up getting powers, has to learn how to balance their superhero ego and their personal family life while defeating a generic villain's thirst for power. And yes, this is the overall structure of the movie, and yeah, you can argue that it is still one of those superhero films that is still going down that typical generic cliche superhero film route. I mean, for me personally, knowing so much of like comic book superheroes nowadays, Blue Beetle is like Spider-Man and Shazam in terms of character, but in terms of powers, he's like Iron Man, Thor, Venom, Cyborg, and maybe partially Captain America, all rolled into one. But this is how I thought mainly during the first act of the movie. It is after when Jaime gets his powers that it goes so much beyond that, actually. I think it's the film's execution of this typical generic superhero film narrative structure that keeps it from being as generic as it could have been. Like I said, this is one of the only superhero films where the family knows the hero's secret identity right from the get-go. And the main central idea of this movie, where the family is the most important thing to the lead superhero, not only his personal life but also his superhero life, is what drives him to become stronger, both literally and emotionally, because he's fighting for and with them. And this is something that we haven't really seen before. It's a newer concept that I think was otherwise executed really well in my opinion. And like I said, its representation of Latino culture is very strong, very well done, very accurately represented, and as it implements Latino culture into this and adds their own Latino spin into this narrative structure. So it's basically a Latino version of this superhero narrative structure, and that, in my opinion, is what makes this film unique. However, I think if I were to give an actual criticism of this movie, I think the biggest criticism I can give is that I think you could definitely tell at times that this was initially meant to be an HBO Max exclusive release. Because yeah, it actually was that before, until later it was given a theatrical release opportunity later on. But given its smaller budget, there were times that I kind of noticed the tonal changes in the overall film quality throughout the 2-hour runtime. So yeah, if you feel that this movie felt small in scale and more grounded than any other previous theatrical DC release in these recent films in these recent years, yeah, I guess now you know why. But overall, despite its lower budget and, to be honest, its basic overall narrative structure, I had an absolute blast watching Blue Beetle. You know, from the action to the VFX to the suits to the characters, they're all done very well. This movie is definitely going to be a big win for Latino culture representation, and the central idea of family is what really distinguishes it from, you know, the typical superhero films that we've gotten over these last few years. It's what makes it so special, so unique, and it's what really elevates this movie for me. I'm going to go ahead and give Blue Beetle an 8 out of 10 and an A-. Would have been kind of funny to give Blue Beetle a B or B plus for, like, B for Blue Beetle, but I think it deserves more than that. But before I end things off, going back to what I said in the beginning of this video where it lines up within DC's continuity, I guess it could be really up to you to determine what it is. Like, whether it still counts as a DCEU directly related film, or you could take it as a film that's falling more in line with the upcoming reboot of the franchise as the DCEU and its future. But I guess if you want more direct answers, here's James Gunn's official stance on the Blue Beetle character and movie in a podcast he did with Michael Rosenbaum, who is an actor who actually worked with him before in the Guardians of the Galaxy films.
Relatively, the MCU and now the DCU in film, which really doesn't start. I mean, the first DCU character for sure is Blue Beetle, and the first full DCU movie is Superman.
His words, not mine. And he even posted on Instagram at the Blue Beetle Blue Carpet premiere and reiterated and reassured once again that he and Peter Safran do in fact have upcoming plans for the Blue Beetle character and his future and his place in their new DCU. So I think I think at this point it's more safe to assume that we will see Jamie Reyes and Blue Beetle again down the line. But in terms of what capacity, as whether we'll see his family again or Jenny Court again, who knows? But yes, that's going to be my time in my non-spoiler review for Blue Beetle. And again, I really do hope that you guys get this one a shot. Go and see this one in theaters. It really deserves it. Really deserves to be watching in the theater and deserves all the love and support that it can get. Because again, like I said, it's a really good movie and I really hate to see good films like this not do so well. But for those who have seen Blue Beetle already, my question is for you guys: what did you think of it? Where would you rank it? Where would you rank it in terms of all the other DC films that we've been getting over these last few years? Did you like it? Did you hate it? I really want to know. Let's discuss it in the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed it, and if you haven't already, subscribe so you can tune in for more movie reviews like this on this channel of Ryan World Movies. And make sure to give this video a big thumbs up because that'll help out a ton. And yeah, as always, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Rhinos, roll out, take care.